I just wanted to explain what happened here at the beginning. This was our first podcast where we decided we're going to record it, we're going to post it, we're just going to get our thoughts out there. So just my first time doing all that production, editing, all that stuff, I forgot to film the right screen for first 15, 20 minutes. So just bear with it. It's a work in progress.
What did you want? Did you want to like talk about it first a little bit, like what you wanted to do though with it, or like?
Doesn't really matter too much to me. Like, we can maybe do that, but honestly, we kind of just are here to chill out and talk hockey. The rest kind of just happens naturally, so I don't think we need to worry too much about the presentation. Maybe, like, obviously I can just cut this beginning discussion off and then just some intro quick thing, but...
Yeah, did you want to have, like, some sort of intro that we put together for each thing, or...?
Yeah, I think that over in the long term, I think we should do that.
Yeah. And you're wanting to do, obviously, the video and audio. Where is it going to be posted? Where do you want to post this? What's the ideal place to post it? I know nothing about it when it comes to that.
Okay, yeah. So I've spent probably the closer part of a year studying, kind of doing some of this stuff. I follow a couple guys on YouTube, and just to show, they kind of discuss where you should go. Obviously, I think YouTube pretty standard spot, but maybe we can also have the audio version only of the podcast. And just post that to podcast spots like SoundCloud, iTunes. Okay. Just make it accessible, and like I don't know if you use Twitter. I use Twitter.
I do, but I don't really post on Twitter.
Yeah, so I gave up after 3 days, but I was doing a blog on hockey for a little bit. But fuck, yeah, it's just getting the motivation, and that's the hardest part.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because a lot of the shit I talk about, I just like to talk about it. I don't care who reads it. I mean, if people actually would want to read it, then I would probably do more of it. But
I think personally, you don't need to worry too much about that. I'm new to it, but I can kind of show you, and we'll just agree on how. Like, obviously, it's both of us, so I'm not gonna do something you don't agree with. So. Mm-hmm. I think for the first part, I was gonna turn in this part, just like maybe splice it. I'm hoping to have some, because we're obviously going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about our fantasy league because we're both common in that, and there's been some insane trades that went down, and the shakeup of the league is starting to happen. But also, we have the NHL just in general, and Babcock got fired today, so that's pretty big news in the league. But
I was late. I was so late to that party. I took my dog for a walk. I came home like 20 minutes later, and I had like 17 missed messages, and I was like, "Uh-oh, something's happened."
Yeah,
I don't know what.
I went to lunch at work, and I don't really go on my phone at lunch, and came back. You guys were talking in the group as if he got fired, but no one actually said he got fired. I was like, so was he fired?
Well, what time was he actually fired? Because I literally only found out like I don't know what time that was.
I found out about 5:30 your time. Yeah, 5:30.
I found out via CP24. So like that's like my fifth line of news in terms of like broad spectrum stuff, but. Like, I didn't hear it on my phone. I didn't hear it from a friend. I didn't hear it on my podcast or anything. Like, I didn't hear it from anywhere.
Yeah, it's just the fantasy. That's where I heard it from you guys. But today, this morning at work, like, there's a couple of us that talk sports, and we do little bets amongst each other. And me and this one guy were trying to goat this other guy into a Babcock getting fired this year bet. I even said I'd be like, he's going to be fired within a month, blah, 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 and he just won bites, but we knew it was coming. Like, it's not a...
Yeah. You said you listen or watch the Steve Dangle, right?
Yeah, I'm halfway through his new one already from this.
The way that he's talking is basically how I feel, but I also am like, I would say I'm more of like an NHL fan and less of like a Leaf specific than he would be.
Yep.
So like I have a little less emotion in it. But if I'm only thinking about the Leafs, that's kind of how I feel. I'm just kind of like, I was just kind of like, well, are we actually going to waste this season? Like, are we legit going to waste the season? Because if not, if so, I'll turn the TV off and I'll just enjoy the good hockey that we're paying for, and I'll watch good hockey, and the Leafs can take a back seat. Or we got to do something. And I think that they were really afraid of taking 5-year step back in like a month if they drag this on.
Yep.
And I felt like they're like, you know what, damage control. We don't really want to, but it was obvious since last January. They're like the third, fourth worst team.
Yep.
In the NHL. The Senators have a better record since January. I think it was 7th last year.
Senators,
and everyone makes fun of the Senators, right?
Right. Yeah.
But they have a better record than the Leafs, and they have nothing on their roster. They don't have a Matthews. They don't have a Nylander. They don't have a Marner. They don't have a Riley. They don't have.
Yeah.
They've got Craig Anderson, who's solid, but he's old.
Brady Tkachuk.
NHL standards. He's a beast. I really like him.
Shabbat. Like they have their own pieces, and I think
they're just not there yet. They're a couple years away still.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to do this whole podcast with you, because you know all the teams, and that's more. I'm more of the NHL fan too. Like, I've never been a huge fan of the Leafs, but watching them play Vegas last night, I felt bad for them, and I don't feel bad for them too often.
Full disclosure: the last 3 games I've fallen asleep after the second period in the intermission. Cause it's funny because I like the headlines. I like the second intermission better, and it's just like. It's so boring, and I'm sitting there, and I'm drifting away, and I'm just like, oh, we're almost there. And then in my head, I'm like, why am I staying up for this? Like, why am I pushing myself to stay awake for this trash?
So you can see the Fluery save.
Well, yeah, I heard stuff like save of the year and what candidate, whatever, and I was like, oh, something happened.
Like during the game, it was a huge save, but after seeing like different angles of it's not like it was still a great save, but it's not save of the year.
If that was a righty who snapped it, instead of a backhand kind of flutter,
exactly,
that would be a save of the year.
Exactly,
not to discount it, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
It looked great at the time. It was huge. Like you just see the Leafs. They were like the Leafs cracked right there.
Exactly. Yeah, it was there for the taking. He didn't necessarily rob it, but it was there for him to get.
Yep.
Because if that was 6 inches lower, he wouldn't have been able to reach it. And it would have just been a little flutter into the middle of the net. That would have been blah. They would have been down by 1 goal. I think at that time. I don't know.
I think it was for a tie. To be honest.
Was it? I don't, like I said, I fell asleep. I have no idea what happened at that point.
I was watching. I don't remember. So what's that tell you?
I have not been excited for a game in probably about 3 weeks, which I grew up knowing the schedule, who they played, whether it was home or away, just because like I wanted to know everything about what I was getting into. I was excited to watch Kaskasuo play because as a guy who's played for a few different teams, like, you know, competitively and had a few different goalies, you generally kind of, you know, you'll block an extra shot, or maybe you'll, you know, take a penalty to save a chance, or just do a little extra, whatever you can. If it's that one play in the game that you save a harder game for him, just to make his debut a little easier, so he feels better about himself. If everyone does that one play, what would that be? It would be 21 plays in a game. Over 60 minutes is one play every couple minutes. That's not a lot to ask, right? If each guy did their part, with that guy coming in net, that should have been a 3-1 game. And Kaskasuo played freaking well.
Yeah,
and I was excited to watch him play.
Me too.
And I fell asleep after the second because I was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it. It's not worth my time right now, especially like with us having the NHL video. Like I will honestly just turn on another game. If I've dedicated that night to watching hockey, if it's a garbage night, I'll turn the Apple TV on and just start watching. Little plug for Apple TV, right?
Is there any teams that over the past week or so, I guess it's been maybe 2 weeks since we talked, that if they're on, they're like you're gonna switch to that game?
Well, a lot of it has to do with fantasy.
Yep.
and a lot of it has to do with goaltender matchups. I do tend to steer towards divisional games.
Yeah, obviously close games too, yeah.
Yeah, and then I secondary steer towards Eastern Conference games. Also generally because the Western games are later, and if I'm falling asleep during the second period of the earlier games, I'm not staying up for the later games. So I haven't seen many of those, but I do like to watch Vegas. I generally like to watch teams that kind of have a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Just because you don't know what you're getting. Like, for example, Calgary. One night you could watch them and Rittich could play unreal. Next night you could watch it and Tkachuk would be an annoying asshole and cause 3 fights. Game after that you could see Giordano get 2 power play goals and they win in overtime. Like, you just don't really know what you're getting, which can be annoying and it can be frustrating, but at least it's entertaining.
Yeah, it's exciting hockey.
Exactly. You're getting something.
And both of those teams play in the Pacific Division, so that can say something, right? That division's kind of interesting to watch. I don't know if I have the West Coast bias, but
yeah, maybe a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like, just to go to a little bit Leafs here, everyone keeps talking about why we need like this power forward, this guy that needs to fight and be able to protect guys and whatever.
Yeah.
I personally think that role is slowly being ironed out, but I also think you're going to have these guys, these Tkachuks and these guys who roll through that.
Yep.
They're so good because they're so unique, and it's pure luck on whether or not you get the timing for it. Oh, hold on one sec. There we go.
We're back.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. And I pulled first rookie move of the podcast recording already. I was recording the wrong screen the whole time, so...
What screen were you recording?
I have 2 screens, like 2 monitors, so the one over here, which was essentially just the fantasy screen of our fantasy league. So, yeah.
I should really pull...
What a good start for that. Because, like, my idea was, like, I could switch over to that screen.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do that.
Hotkeyed.
But, yeah, sorry, I'm going to go back to what I was trying to say there. For a long time, I've always debated, like, why it is that Leaf fans would rather have, like, a third liner that will chuck knuckles and score 20 goals as opposed to, a 40, 50 goal scorer, and why it's been so long that we haven't had them or given them the chance to succeed is exactly my point, which I was making with Calgary or those other teams. Like, I think people are kind of like, hey, if I'm going to go down to a Leaf game, I'm going to be spending, $400 minimum to go down, go in the game, have a drink or two, have a snack or something to eat. You're looking at $400 a head, so, almost $1,000 if you want to go as a couple. If you go down, and I'm not even joking, like, that's
I go to a Canucks game, it cost me like $100 each a couple, or like a head, so still up there.
Used to go to probably about 15 games a year back when it was like $46 to $62 a ticket.
Yeah, that's
I'm pretty sure. I obviously, don't quote me on this, but I haven't looked in a couple years because I'm not really interested in going to a game. But I think it was like $74 or $78 for standing room. So the last row to stand, it was like $74, $78 per head. So let's say that plus tax. So let's round up to $100. Beer's $16. Anything that's edible is $10 to $20 per head. So, I mean, it's $50, $60 first time you go to concessions, and that's for one drink. You come back again, that's another $20, $30. You do that a couple times.
Prices.
Yeah, like you're really looking at $1,000 nights. You also got to think about parking, and if you drove down, the gas and all that other shit, right? Or if you bust down, or if you came in and stayed in a hotel or whatever, right? So I think that if people are committing to that money and they happen to go to a game where the offense it's not clicking that night, they would rather be like, all right, at least I got to see a fight. At least I got to see this big hit. At least I got to see something I can go back or go to work tomorrow. About. Yeah, and talk about, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like, I didn't know. I wasn't. Like, people sit there, it's like, oh, I'm going to a Leaf game. I'm going to a Leaf game because it's big for a lot of people, right? Sometimes, for a lot of people, it's a once-in-a-lifetime event, right?
I never went. I lived there for 25 years.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are like that. I mean, I was very fortunate. My next door neighbor growing up was a season ticket holder, and there was many times where he would call my dad at like 6:25 or like 6:10 and be like, I can't make the game. Tickets are yours for free. If you want to go through the thing.
Yeah.
So my dad would be like,
ass down there.
Yeah, so my dad would be like, get changed, we're going right now. I'd literally throw my jersey on, get in the car, we'd drive down to Yonge and Finch, we'd jump on the subway, and we'd go down.
Yeah.
There was a couple of times, one time I remember it was the New York Rangers, and we got there at the end of the second, there was like 7 minutes left in the second period because somebody jumped in front of the subway, and it was, I think it was a 4-2 game, and we got there when it was 3-2. So we got to see one of the goals. But it was free, so minus getting down there. But like, I mean, my dad would always like we would sneak in like a bag of Skittles or something like that. So we would go get a pop and share it or whatever.
Yeah.
So like we wouldn't go eccentric or anything like that. But there'd be at least a dozen times a year that would happen for a span of probably about 5-6 years. It got me into trouble a lot, actually. Like, it got me in a lot of trouble because exactly all the time. And it would be like, I went to the Leaf game. Fuck your homework. Like,
seriously, life experience.
Yeah, honestly. So like, that's also partly why I don't give a shit about going. Like, I like to go once every couple of years just to kind of, I love to go with people who've never been. Like, I'm down to go when it's just something like that or like a very special game. Like, I've been to the outdoor game. Not the. Sorry, not the one with the Leafs. I went to the Marlies outdoor game.
Oh, okay.
Which was really cool in Hamilton. That was really cool. But like stuff like that, I'm down to do. But regular games, back to the money thing. I'm not spending that money for it. So
it's one thing. Now that I do have disposable income, somewhat, that's I never got to do those. Go to a lot of sporting events, so now that's what I do spend some of my money on. Right? Yeah, but I don't go to a lot. Like 3 or 4 Canucks games a year. Always Vegas game, at least 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
And we've gone to a couple Seahawks games now, too. So we're not Seahawks fans, though. We actually hate them.
I am almost a no football guy. Like,
So I've just been following football forever, and then always in pools.
Yeah.
And always family. We have a family trophy for just pick 'em that you get your name carved on, so... That's what's kept me for it. Just
the thing that I like about football is that it's a 1-a-week thing.
Yep.
It's like an event.
Yep. They're trying to make it more with the Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
But is it too much? I'm not a football fan, so I can't really have input. But is that too much?
I don't think so. No. One game on one night. It's not bad. Keeps them.
Is it better for exposure?
It's better for those dollar bills for them.
Yeah, because then you're like, oh, if there's 6 games on and there's really only 2 I care about, the other ones kind of just get lost in the shuffle.
I gotta admit, like with hockey, I don't like how they do their schedule. Like they have,
it's so dumb.
They have, what was it yesterday? 13 games on, and then 2 tonight, and then 15 games, and then 2, and then 1. Like,
yeah,
I'd rather watch 8 games. They
should have games on every night.
If
they want to grow their sport, wow.
They do, but like half the time it's 1 or 2 games or max 4 games, and that's just not.
I'm not looking forward to the time where we get into the mandatory weeks off or like the 5 days off where all the teams start taking their breaks.
Yeah, I really don't like that as a fan.
It has such a fantasy impact too.
Really, fantasy wise too, but yeah.
I mean,
isn't it like a mandatory 10-day break?
It's whatever the days are. It's written in the CBA.
Yeah.
So they have to have it. But then they're like, okay, well, yeah, that's great that we have it, but then now we have to play 912 back-to-back. So, like, what's really the benefit?
Oh, yeah, back-to-backs.
It's like, I want half the season off. Okay, that's fantastic. That means you're playing every other night. Okay.
Seems like so far this season, I don't know. It feels like there's not as many 4 game nights though for a team. 4 games in a week.
Yeah, no, they're really spread it. Like it's really like kind of 2.5 to 3.5 games a week.
Yeah,
you're really plus minus 1 game overall. Sorry, I'm just trying to sign into my other computer here. so that I can pull up
Get the fat
the
data.
intra. Exactly. I don't want to just spew out my mouth the whole time.
Yeah.
So yeah, give me your take on the big trades today.
The big fantasy trades in
Yeah.
I
We can leave Babcock till later.
He's done anyway. Yeah, everyone else is covering that. Who's actually covering the dropping Klefboms league? Not a lot of people.
No one is. I mean, hot takes right here, right?
Yeah, get your hot takes. Well, let's take a look. What trade? We'll go to the first trade that happened, I guess.
All right, that's not mine.
Because someone called out. Someone called out in the group chat how things are. Let's get the trades flowing, and then they all flowed within like a day.
Yeah,
I think it was you.
It was me. Because I've been fucking talking trades for like a goddamn 10 days.
10 days?
Well, maybe not that long. Like 6 days. The one with Dylan has been on and off for a couple days, and it's been a negotiation. I was really trying to get Kucherov as well. I was trying to go bang, 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 and also get Kucherov, and then be like, fuck y'all.
Well, let's go to the top of the list here, where we got Timo Meier, who is just a throw-in, I assume, for Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah, it's probably first drop.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Yeah. So he's sending his first rounder, his third rounder for 4 and 7. Ovechkin he gets.
Who's a guy who can help you in 2 categories by himself almost in a week.
Yeah.
Maybe
three,
categories.
maybe 4.
Yeah. Maybe 4, yeah.
So obviously he's probably the most valuable free agent. That's not a free agent. Most valuable player that is
could
available.
Be yeah.
Yeah.
I'd put him in the very top tier with McDavid and McKinnon. Those 3.
But McDavid and McKinnon are on teams that aren't going to be moving them.
Exactly.
So when's the trade deadline? Isn't that like
a long time away? That's why I said I was like, I will give value now, but I want him for like the whole year. Like,
yeah.
The price now is completely different than what it is at the deadline. Like, if I'm only getting him for 4 weeks in the playoffs, I'm not trading as much as I did. So,
yeah, that's fair. But first rounder, like that is you guys. We saw 2 first rounds move. Was it today or yesterday? I can't even remember. Today. 2 first rounds move. So I don't even like that. This is the thing. You've broken it down obviously more than I have, because you sent me just where your drafts are for next year. Yeah. I know where my drafts are for next year because I haven't traded any. So it's hard to. I don't know where Nick lies in terms of his trades, and I haven't evaluated where Nick's keepers are going to be. So
yeah,
let's take a look. Like,
all right, let's go to his team.
Let's go to Nick's team. He's picked up Ovechkin.
Trying to make a dynasty, and the fucker's the only one that's platinum in our league. Did you notice that?
Oh, I know that. Yeah, I knew for sure.
I don't know how to get there. How do I get there?
So to get there, you go. If you click on the I beside the diamond, it shows you how you get there. You're in the 99th percentile.
Beside the diamond.
There's a little black circle I. So his rating is 900 plus. He's in the 99th percentile in wins. In Yahoo.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay.
You see it? So
yeah, okay.
He's been diamond forever since I think for a while, or is this his first time? He might have just been platinum before.
I don't know.
But he's always been the highest rated when we play. For baseball included.
Yeah.
So
I think that part of maybe why I'm not is because I also have a couple of pools where I was like fucking around with shit.
Yeah.
Where I was like 4 of the 7 teams, so I finished like different positions. So that's probably fucked it up a little bit.
Mine is fucked up because I think 2 seasons ago ago, or like in a row in hockey, I won one game maybe. So
Oh, really?
I had no idea what I was doing, man. I did not know anything. I didn't know any of the players. We talked about a trade where you ripped me off.
I was just gonna ask, what was that trade again? I wanted to ask you what that was.
I gave you
didn't know
Victor
you remember.
Hedman. I gave you Victor Hedman. You gave me Brian Little. You convinced me it was a good idea because of face-off wins or some shit. I have no idea.
Was it in the ScarJo or what?
Yeah,
Or was it in
ScarJo.
Okay. See that? Yeah, it's still a bad trade, but in that pool, it's very weird to me because like there's PIMs, there's hits, there's blocks, there's face-off wins. I think plus minus at the time. So it was like you rather have an kind of good player on a good team than a really good player on a bad team. So like the biases were all over the place. So like who knows? But yeah,
I was
that's
last place
trade.
in that league. So
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get Hedman in the pool too, but it's not worth it.
All right, so looking at Nick, he's got Ovechkin now, who we can't keep, but the rest of his team is pretty strong. Especially, he has the strongest defense core in the whole pool.
I don't know about that.
If they're not injured,
I don't know about that.
who do you think has it then?
I think somebody will have a better.
Who, me?
I think somebody, but I think when you go by average defenseman, I think I might be up there. Just saying.
Yeah, but his defensemen two of them are hurt.
Does he have Burns?
He does have Burns.
Oh, okay.
He has Burns, Letang, and Klingberg as his 3 core.
But
Klingberg, I understand he's still going to be power play 1 on Dallas, who seems to be figuring things out.
I have Klingberg in my other pool. I'm considering dropping him.
Really?
So I'm quite sour on him right now. So maybe I'm biased that way. Maybe I'm not looking at it in the right lens. But
I just look at the power play 1 strength of Dallas. That's all.
Oh, I agree. Like I don't want to drop him, but he's when I'm looking at it, I'm like, he's a defenseman. He's in the ScarJo pool, so he's an offensive-ish defenseman who's not really getting the shots on the power play. Okay. So if you're the defenseman who's not getting the shots, really, you're not getting points. Like you're just kind of space filler on the power play. And
or assist for.
But even then, if you pass it to your D partner, he blasts it at the net, and there's a tip or there's a rebound goal, that guy you don't get the third assist, right?
Yeah. So
like, you're involved, but you don't get anything in terms of fantasy or on the stat sheet, right? So I think if there was 3 assists, I think Klingberg would get. I think Klingberg already would probably have another like 12 assists, but that's kind of the only bad thing with Dallas is that like I was kind of sour on Seguin this year because of it. Seguin was a beast for shots on goal because he had so much ice time, like what Draisaitl and McDavid are doing right now.
Yep.
Now he doesn't have as much ice time, which in the grand scheme of things, if you're trying to win a cup, is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
But fantasy-wise,
you can't have the best defense core. You have 2 defense, so you're already out of the running.
Why?
Because a core is 3.
No way, man. So how do you evaluate my goalies then?
That's different, man. You can have 3 goalies.
How's it different?
It's different.
No way it's different.
So Nick beats you in having 3 stronger defense than you. You only have 2, so you don't qualify.
All right, I'll be in my own category and I'll win that.
You have the strongest 2-man defense.
Exactly.
Although, is that true? Because I'm running the 2-man defense right now, so.
Well, see, that's my theory is that if you look, I know it's not fair to do this because it doesn't really make sense, but if you sort by one category only and you look at shots on goal,
yep,
most defensemen naturally will not shoot as much as a forward. So if you take an average player and you say, I know this guy will get no offense tonight, he's only going to get the peripherals. I know that a forward on 95% of the time will get more shots on goal.
Yep.
Each night. You multiply that by 3.5 times a week. that's 10 or 12 shots on goal, ignoring any offense that comes with it. So then you look at, okay, I'm getting an extra 12 shots on goal from everyone else that I would have got on my current roster. I would rather take, 12 shots on goal versus 3. Where would you place your bet? Who would score more offense? Somebody who has 4 shots or 12 shots?
No, I understand that, but there are going to be the nights, definitely in the NHL, where you have everybody playing. So
yes.
You're giving up a roster spot.
But, hear me out. I have 3 goalies.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 goalies roster spots.
Yeah.
So if I have the choice,
you don't have a goalie that you drop yet.
No, but hold up. If I was going to have to take a roster spot down, and I had the choice of either dropping a forward or dropping a defenseman, when I drop a defenseman, I lose those less shots per week.
Yep.
So if I have to run one less forward or one less defense, assuming I have to run one extra goalie because I can't drop one, I'm going to run one less defense because of those numbers. So that's why I was like I didn't want to move Subban. I liked Subban, and I think that once Hall gets dealt, I think Subban will have a really strong finish.
Yeah.
But again, it was Subban or Mantha was my decision.
Yeah, I think you made the right decision. If that was your decision,
that was my decision. It was who do I trade and who would I prefer to keep. And if Mantha for some reason cools off and disappears, fantastic. I have a guy that I can use as a drop ad and use my 7 ads when it comes to playoff time. If he continues on being as good as he is, which is slightly overvalued in this pool setup, then I'll take him over Subban any day of the week. If I'm going for the championship, right?
Which I think you are now, right? Wow, you have Patrick Laine.
I better be top freaking 2. I'll quit if I'll never play fantasy again if I'm not top 2. I might do daily, but
I know how to beat you, so that's okay.
How's that?
I don't know. I can't give you my secret because I might need to use it.
Yeah.
I used it once on you.
What's that? Start 3 specific starts and try and nail
them.
Good starts.
Nail the starts. Yeah. Get shutouts. Nail the starts.
That's literally my weakness. Because I will always beat anyone in this league by
Saves?
Percentages, by pure numbers. Like somebody's gonna get shelled. Pretty much everybody has 1 shelling a week. If your shelling is not as bad as the other guy's shelling, you'll probably win. So like if I get 2 or 3 shellings, like I'm fucked. But if you get like 2 or 3 real good starts, I'm also fucked. That's the only way to beat me in goaltenders.
Fuck, my dog's harassing me.
Nick always makes fun of me because I carry extra goalies, but Murphy's Law, when I go by the strategy as I'm going 2 strong goalies so that I can carry the full roster, I always lose one to injury. And then I'm like, well, now I'm just okay. Like I'm average. So like there's no plus, there's no benefit. So I might as well just run 1 goalie and just spot start here and there. Yeah. And then
that's usually how I do it.
That's how a lot of teams do it, and a lot of teams I've seen have success, but I personally have never been able to have success that way. So like I tend to shy away from that, even though I've seen it work in front of me. But
I won my pool in my other league last year because I drafted my 2 goalies, the latest out of anyone in the pool. I flipped one of them for Tarasenko, and then I ended up with 2 goalies on my playoff run that nobody drafted or played the whole year. Carter Hart and Darcy Kemper, and I won because they were lights out.
If we were at a pool of 10 or 12 teams of guys like us, me, you, Nick, whatever, that pay attention,
we wouldn't be able to pull that off.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I am definitely. There's one other guy that is I would put like on our level in that pool, and I played him in the championship. Right? No, in the other pool I'm in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, I don't. I don't know what Brad's like.
that's why Nick always pays attention, because like he doesn't have the bias of like playing. I have a lot of playing bias. Like for example, I won't name them, but I have a couple friends, and I grew up playing with them, and one of them I felt like he was a hell of a hockey player, and like it would be silly to say that you would rather play with the lesser skilled hockey player, but the lesser skilled hockey player worked harder, and he went to the right places, and he got the puck, and he got the puck to me to like get it back to him to score. So like, for example, that bias would be like, hey, if I'm a playmaker, I want somebody to get around and get open for me so that I can be productive.
Yeah.
Where if you're a sniper, you're like, I want somebody to give me the puck so I can shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot more. So it's just like, sometimes that's why lines don't work out, because you don't have the right elements on a line. And that's where my biases come into play, where I'm like, the elements aren't there, or the elements are there. And then I'm like, this is going to be great, or that's not going to be great.
Yeah, you definitely look at the fantasy a little bit different than most people. You can just hear it from when you explain your take on Subban and how he's going to improve with the Hall trade. Like, people aren't looking ahead at that kind of scenario.
Yeah. And like, that's all I ever do, is I look at trends and be like, for example, when I moved Pacioretty, I had a good feeling about him this year, hence why I drafted him. I think
you have everything right to be. He's on the best line on Vegas.
Exactly, and to be honest, I would have thought if you replaced Stone and Pacioretty's production this year, I don't think anyone would think twice about it. It's just his luck or his play is working out, and Stone's really isn't. In 3 months from now, will that flip-flop?
I love Stone too. I think maybe
I love Stone too. Yeah, he's
gonna be great on them.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Stone in my other pool, because I've had terrible luck on my right wing. I had Tarasenko go down, and then I had at the time Lindholm went down, and then I also had
which Lindholm?
Elias. And then I had another right winger, I can't remember, and then I drafted Voracek, who's obviously not working out. So like, my right wing is dismantled.
Philadelphia is one of those teams I can it makes no sense to me. It feels like every year they should be better than they are.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take a fantasy take on that, with my biases coming into play, like, you look at their forward lineup. They signed Hayes. They've got Nolan Patrick, who's trying to make a name for himself. They've got Giroux, who likes to kind of...
Isn't Patrick... He's out, isn't he?
He is, but I'm just saying, in an ideal world, you have 3 really good centers, and you probably have 4 or 5 really good wingers who deserve a lot of time on the ice. So you're looking at like 9-ish forwards. The pucks can only be on one person's stick, right?
Yeah.
So like, out of those 9 forwards... roll the dice, put your names in a hat. There'll be one of them who sucks ass. There'll be one of them who has this career year. And there'll be one who's not that good but should be better. There's one who's better than he is, and then there's some that are kind of just in the middle. Pick the names you want. That it's always going to be that way, and that's my belief every single time. Like, apply it to the Leafs. Like, you play 3 years with the exact same forward lineup, I almost would guarantee you one of those years, Tavares would have like a 28 goal year, 68 point season. Maybe that's this year.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Marner gets hurt. Like, there can be anything that really happens, right? Like, I mean, maybe Matthews seems to have a bit of magic to him this year. Like, he's got a high shooting percentage. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see Matthew or Tavares take a step back, which I'm still talking almost point per game or whatever. But last year was Marner Tavares magical year, right? What if this year is kind of Matthews Freddie, let's say, magical year, like in terms of standing out and kind of making that impact?
Yeah, the key is to have everyone's magical year at the same time.
But look at Kucherov.
Yeah,
there's always anybody who can go from a top elite player and have one bad year, whether it's injury, whether it's just you know,
That's the
things
beauty
didn't
of me
jam
watching
that
you
year.
guys do your crazy trades.
Yeah.
One of you is destined to get fucked.
One of us is going to lose, but I think and I hope if we finish 1-2, we won't face each other to the final, which means that both of us will win money.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to win presidents, so at least I got $100 in my pocket. Well, technically, all the money's in my pocket because I'm the commissioner, but
Is the rules, yeah.
I don't have to pay out if that's the case.
That's
But
good.
the way I look at it is I do think Kuznetsov will end up back on the top line with Ovie when the dust settles.
Instead of who?
So
Instead of Backstrom?
Backstrom. Backstrom's been playing the majority of the year on the top line.
Hasn't he been playing with Backstrom for 3 straight years?
Nope.
Are you sure?
I think it was pretty much all of last year he played with Kuznetsov and half of the season before, or it might be flip-flopped. I might have that wrong.
Okay.
But there was a whole thing where Backstrom like made his career off giving him nasty assists, right?
Yeah, of course.
And then it just
I
think
used to stack Backstrom, Ovie, and whoever.
Yeah, whoever.
It might have
was on
been
the other line.
Kuznetsov with them, though. No.
He was playing wing for. It might have been Burakovsky as
him
well.
too.
But I just whatever year it wasn't working. And they're like, oh, like Backstrom and Ovie, have they lost their magic? Is it time to get him a new playmaker? Like, I remember a whole storyline like that.
Yeah.
But I don't remember which year it was. But I don't know.
I think Washington's by far doing the best in the East.
I think they're destined. Yeah,
Yep.
They might be the East team. But what I was going to say is I think that Kuznetsov, who is, what is he ranked on the year? He's ranked 75 on the year. I think that his trajectory is up. I think from here on out, he's going to perform higher than a 75 ranked player.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
I do, yeah. I mean, you look at Mantha, there's no way he's going to stay a top 10 player. Like, he's ranked 10th right now, which is silly. But
Who's
I have Marchand.
Mantha's always been a high fantasy guy, though, higher than I expected. Wasn't he 20 last year?
Well, it's shots on goal. He has 87 shots on goal.
Yeah.
He's number 2 on my team behind McKinnon. But let me ask you a question. What are the 2 best lines in hockey? In your opinion?
Well,
I might have to extend this question. But what
does this include when... Because I think Colorado's line is there if they're all there. Landeskog, Rantanen, and McKinnon. Does that count?
Okay. Sure. Yep.
After that, I feel like the right answer is Boston's line because of just how they do. Pasternak, Bergeron, Marchand. You have a player on both those lines.
Yep. And what would be your third line?
Any line that has Crosby on it.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. It's probably McDavid, Draisaitl, Neal, or whoever they have on that line.
So out of those 3 teams, I got one guy on each of those lines.
It's almost like you planned that. Did you plan that?
I did. That's why I didn't go for Ovie. I didn't even make an offer. I didn't even... Partially, that's because I had Kuznetsov. I don't like 2 guys on the same team.
Yeah, I'm part of that too. Yeah,
I'm okay if it's a goalie and something else, or I'm lesser okay, but I'm slightly okay if it's a defense and a forward. But I do not like having forward. Yeah,
I'd have to.
I really don't. Unless
it's
like
Draisaitl, McDavid, then you might make an exception.
Well, yeah, and then in the other pool, there's depending on positions, right? Like that can if there's center, left wing, right wing, like if they're specified, then like let's say I needed a right winger, then maybe I would take Wilson, for example, if he was available. I wouldn't want to, but like if he's the best right winger, I would take him and stack. But I really try not to. But yeah, so I have Kuznetsov, who I hope and I think will play with Ovie. So any points that Nick gets off Ovie, I theoretically will get majority off of them anyways.
He'll cancel
then
him
I have,
out,
I cancel him out. So if I have to play him in the final, then I have McKinnon, I have Marchand, and I have Draisaitl. So each 3 guys on the 3 best lines in hockey. And then I have 3 goalies who, on any given night, are capable of throwing up a shutout. And I haven't even mentioned anyone else on my team.
You're sitting in the catbird seat, that's for sure.
I think so. Erik Karlsson's been garbage. What do you think
he will get you what you need. I had him last year.
Yeah.
And he was hurt half the time.
What do you think his rank is right now, overall?
Probably in the hundreds, because most defensemen are.
178.
Yeah, I wouldn't read too much into that, though.
I know, it's going to be a slow start, but you guys scared me a little.
Majority of Sharks started really bad.
The thing is, I was really hot on him before Marleau signed and, everything else happened with the injuries, because, like, what I was mentioning earlier about Philly is the same thing I think about San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was extremely hot on Evander Kane in my other pool.
I have
as a keeper.
In my other one, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I love him as a keeper, because at the time when I had to pick my keepers, they didn't have Marleau. They didn't commit anything to Thornton. They hadn't signed their prospects, so in Meyer and not prospects, but younger kids in Meyer and what's the other kid's name? Hurdle. Hurdle. The other 2 kids that needed the contract. So I was like, okay, they'll probably trade one and sign one.
Bansky or whatever?
LeBanc, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, one of them's probably going to be dealt because they're coming into cap issues, so they'll probably try and get something for them now and get ahead of it and all that other shit. So I was like, they're going to really lean on these guys. And yeah, Burns and Karlsson kind of muzzle each other, I think, because you're kind of same thing. If Karlsson's feeding Burns claps it at the net, there's a tip and a rebound. Karlsson was involved, but he gets no points. So, like, or if he passes it over to Ben, it's not Ben, I just looked at his name. If Burns passes it over to Karlsson skates down the boards and slides it to the slot, and it's a backdoor with a rebound. Karlsson still made a hell of a play, but he gets no points.
Yeah,
and neither does Burns. So, like, I feel like when people muzzle each other, it's kind of scary sometimes. So, like, I almost wish that, like, Burns went down. Not really, because I have him in my other pool, but, like...
I have him in my other pool, too, so please don't.
You know what I mean, though? Like McKinnon, for example. McKinnon's an absolute fucking tank right now. When Rantanen and Landeskog come back, he's obviously no different player, and, like, it's not like he's getting worse. But, like, Rantanen's going to score some goals. Landeskog's going to take some shot and score some goals. So, like... just by nature of that, the offense is going to go down. The assist might stay there, but less reliable.
Points, maybe.
Because, like, in the last 7 days, for example, oh, wait, no. That's not right. In the last 14 days, McKinnon has 32 shots, which is basically double everyone else on my team, other than a couple. So, like, that's obvious right there, right?
Yeah.
He's carrying that team. But right now, if I sort within the last, like, 14 days, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 top 25 players. 6 top 25 players.
What? Hey, man, I have a lot of plus 50 players. My whole row, too. I have a 9th ranked goalie, for fuck's sakes, alright?
Yeah, I just sorted by average stats for the entire season. I have the 1st, the 4th, and the 5th ranked players.
It's hockey, though, so when that variance smacks you guys up, I'll be sitting on the sidelines with all my picks. Coming in, scooping.
Nick texted me, he's like, aren't you going to be so disappointed when you lose? I'm like, probably, but you know what? Did I say this to you too? Like, I haven't won in so long. Like, it's been so long since I won that, like, and it's like the inaugural season, so, like, it means a little bit more.
I don't know. When I was talking to you 3 weeks ago, you had packed it in, ready to sell everything. So
I was, because it was a different market.
It's been
and then
3 weeks.
I know, but, like, it's funny because, like,
it makes no sense to me why Dylan sold. To be honest, his team was good enough to make the playoffs and win.
Well, see, I think that part of it was what I'll explain here. So
Yeah.
I was looking at the league standings, and right now it's clear there's two teams that are done. There's two teams that do not have what it takes to make a magical run, and that's the captain clutch and the 2 goalies, 1 starter. They're done.
Rest in pieces.
Yeah, they're done. They're done. They're cooked. They're done after.
Just so you know, I'm snippeting this and sending it to the group.
Yeah, that's cool.
They're done. They're done.
They TK over. They're fucking done. But so what I was saying, and I've had the exact same conversation with Brad too, Dank Kutch, is that like those two teams, I personally do not trust them to follow through all the way through playoffs and make sure that they make the adequate adds they need to be the most competitive because like when it comes to that time, you can't depend on name. If they're not keepers, you need to add the hot guys and ride their hotness and win it and then be done with it. You know what I mean?
Is that, like, and then isn't that where the money's going to start to be important for these waivers?
See, that's the thing is maybe, right? Like if somebody drops somebody, you're like, ooh, I like the value on that. I'm actually going to keep that guy. Or if at the end of the season somebody drops a guy and this guy's like, well, I have all these picks, like I'll take this guy off waivers and keep him, or I'll take this guy off waivers and I'll trade this guy to somebody else, or it opens up all these opportunities, right? Yep. But basically, I think that whoever sucks and gets into the consolation is pretty much a walkthrough to get top 2. And that means they're getting McDavid or McKinnon for 3 years.
So wait, say that again. Whoever sucks.
I don't think
if you're like so like whoever's like 7th and 8th, misses the playoffs, but they're gonna get number 1 or 2
because they have to go through the consolation and they only have to play 2 rounds, right? So like I think that,
but they could get upset.
They could. And the thing that scares me about that is the 2 goalies, 1 starter. If he keeps Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky, we got to assume that by then the 2 of them will be well into their game and in the rhythm, right? Yep. So like, if he keeps them,
he's a threat in those rounds for sure. He
is. If they're on fire, no one's beating him. He's gonna walk through the top pick. If they're not on fire, he will get the 4th overall pick. I'll say that right now, and I'll put money on that. Like it's either A or B. I'm confident with that. And so that being said, if you are 7 or 8, it's nice to have McKinnon or McDavid for 3 years, right? Yep. So like you almost want to kind of make sure that you don't end up as the 6th seed and end up.
Oh, let me tell you, 6th seed
there.
Sucks. Being the 6th overall pick sucks. I was that in both my pools. It's the worst spot to be. Well, it was this year. It was the worst spot to be in because it was like a pretty big drop off from the top 5.
Yeah, that's my theory. Is if I'm in the middle, I want to either be like working towards being at the bottom or working towards being at the top. Like I don't want to be in the middle.
Yep. I was not happy.
What's that?
I would say I was not happy, but I was happy I got the guy I valued at 6th.
Who's that?
Patrick Kane.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know you wanted him. I tried really hard to dissuade the other guy to get off of him.
Why is that?
I was like, I just knew you wanted him, so I talked a lot of good about Crosby in hopes that he would take Crosby. I think he did take Crosby over Kane.
I thought he didn't take Matthews.
Oh, maybe he did. Yeah, I figured that you would be fine with Crosby or.
I didn't want Crosby.
Oh, you didn't? No, I thought maybe you did.
I think one of the first times we talked this year, I was pretty low on Pittsburgh.
So who was your backup plan then? Was it Barkov?
No. Trying to remember. It was either.
Yo, hold on. I have to pause this. My battery's almost dead. I gotta go get my cord. Sorry.
Cool.
Hold that thought, okay?
No worries.
All right, there we go. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. What were we talking about?
You asked me if I didn't get Kane, who would have I gotten?
Yes.
I probably would have got worse. I probably would have went with Sagan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I didn't know what to do if I didn't get Kane, to be honest. I have Sagan, Matthews, or Draisaitl really. But at the times, I remember Sagan being more of my top thinking.
Yeah.
But I'd entertain everyone. I missed the boat on Draisaitl. Like he's completely shocking me.
Yeah.
But I was on him because everyone was telling me he was good.
Yeah. I thought that this was the year Draisaitl would move back to playing second-line center. I thought that they were going to move Nugent Hopkins to third-line center, and I thought they were going to try and really play with a more structure and basically play with no fourth line and just play with three lines, and those horses, you basically have one of them on the ice at all times. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not really trying to call Nugent Hopkins a horse or put him in the same category as the other two. But if you put him in a third line role, you could consider him a horse for a third line center. Like, if you have those three guys, you need another guy for what? Like 4 minutes? Okay, Jujar Kara or whoever it is that they have for fourth line center. Insert name here, it doesn't matter, right? Or just give those 4 minutes to somebody else and literally don't even carry a fourth line center, just carry an extra defenseman or something. I thought they were going to kind of do something strange like that and be like the first team to carry like only 3 centers, but a winger who could play center if they had to, but then carry an extra D or something like that. Just because I thought that that's what they were going to do. So I was like, all right, well, Draisaitl's not playing with McDavid, so he's only like a third, fourth, fifth line round talent. And then just before the draft, they're like, oh, it looks like the coach is interested in playing them together. And I was like, oh, let's see how far you slide. I think I snagged.
I was told to draft. I was told to draft him at 6 by at least a couple people. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
That's bold. That was bold. Whoever said that.
Some random at the poker table was the most convincing guy.
Really?
Yep.
That's bold. I like it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so looking at the pool, with that being said, the two guys at the bottom, there's almost an opportunity for somebody to kind of sell off and own the consolation and really get the guys they want. And when Dylan and I were talking about it, he's like,
so you convinced Dylan that this was what he wanted?
No, basically what he decided or what we were talking about was, I'm offering you a first rounder now. If you move that, because he was talking about moving Marchand to Nick as well.
Okay.
If you make this move now, or Nick makes his other decision, he goes with Ovie or whatever, and I back off and I decide not to, or you take me out of the picture, is anyone else going to give you a first rounder?
Nope, I wouldn't have.
No one else would. And I was also talking to Brad about Kucherov. So, like, if the Marchand deal didn't work, I was going to target Kucherov and try and get him instead. So I would have got Hall and Kucherov, which is still pretty solid, right? So, like, that being said, if those moves happen, who else is going to make a move now?
I don't think you're going to see a move at least for a couple of weeks of that significance.
But at the deadline, do you think anyone else is going to make a move where they have to move a first rounder? And who is going to be moving a piece where they want a first rounder? There's going to be one slot left.
That's the thing.
Like Dylan and those other two teams are basically locked in now with the 4 non-playoff teams. So there's one slot left now. Who's the team going to the dance for that?
Out of the it's not me. First, it's not me.
I hope not.
But if it is, then I'll win it, so it's okay.
I know Brad is open to the idea, and he has Kucherov, so let's just use that as example and run with it. So let's say that you go into the playoffs and he drops out, whatever. Kucherov's available at the deadline. There's going to be one team that if they decide they want to pay that price, will pay that price. So there's one team adding and one team selling. If that one team selling matches with somebody who says, I just don't want to make a move, I'm good. These other two beasts did what they want to do. I'll take my chances with the team I have. I don't want to sacrifice my chances for next year. That's what I think. And like, as crazy as it sounds, I paid a ton, but I also think I got a discount. But I also think I paid a ton. Like,
you paid a ton, but I'll say this: if whoever wins the President's Trophy, it was worth it.
Exactly, and it's a 50-50.
It's a 50-50 raise at this point.
It's a 48-48 and 4 field.
I think
There's 4%
Rundle's
field.
Puckets has a shot.
But that's because he has McDavid and Carlson. Are they both going to maintain this pace? Like,
he has good defense, too.
If he goes out and gets Kucherov, I will be worried. Like, he needs to make a move like that. And
he doesn't, though.
Again,
he doesn't. He has no rush. Well, the market's like this, he has no rush.
Question, though, or point to that. Every point Carlson gets, how many times is Kuznetsov involved?
No, that's fine.
How many times that McDavid gets a point, does Draisaitl get a point?
You're right, yeah. Have you guys played each other yet?
I mean, anything that's happened doesn't really
you're right.
anymore.
You're right. I'm just curious.
But
I haven't played him yet.
Week 2. I thought so. I just couldn't remember. Yeah, week 2, he beat me 7-4.
So anyone's game. And that was before you did this crazy mumbo jumbo.
It was before that. It was when I didn't have Malkin. He was on the injury reserve. And I also had Rittich and Jones still before Bennington. So I had Price, Holtby, Rittich, Jones. Mm-hmm. So I was also -1 body, 1 skater on top of all that. So I had like Samuel Blais at the time. So, yeah.
Just took
on the week. He played 3 games for me. He got me 1 shot and 3 hits.
Sounds like me with Brad Hunt on my other team. Fuck.
That's hilarious.
But I do appreciate Nick fleecing Captain Clutch this week, so I can just walk all over for a free win.
Yeah, I know, right? The other funny thing that's really hilarious about the schedule is that Nick and I only play each other one more time before the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, like, if we played one more week, like if week 21 was still another regular season, that was our matchup.
So apparently, who is it? Captain Clutch is my rival too. So I'll go.
Is
it? I match up with him in rivalry week.
It's this week, right? Whoever
no,
you're playing this week is the same.
Oh yeah.
No, it's the cycle. So I'm Dylan. My rival's the guy that I pulled a monster trade off. You know, it'd be funny is if he ends up beating me this week and then beats me again the next time we play. And then he'd be like, yeah, you gave me all these picks and I beat you.
That'd be funny. How did you come up with a rivalry week?
In terms of what?
Who played who? I understand why you and Dylan, but was there any rhyme or reason to it, or?
Short answer, no. Long answer, yes, fucking yes, but fucking no.
Okay.
So, I'm not going to get into all of it, but I got myself into a giant mess. I don't know if you saw the settings at the beginning, and it's saying that the commissioner changed the settings like 9 bazillion times.
Possibly, yeah. Didn't pay attention to it, though.
What I was trying to do was set up a rivalry week in a week or with a team that you play 3 times instead of 2, because you play
2 teams 3 times.
2 teams 3 times and everyone else twice.
Yep.
So I was trying to make week 1 not included, because if you think about it, in week 1 a lot of guys are kind of hurt or you're making adjustments on your roster or whatever, so it's not really nice to have it's
like a preseason game.
Week. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, week 2, and then that's your other option for the people you play 3 times. So then I was like, what I want to do is make it so that you're actually playing somebody you rival. So I think I put you up against Brad just because of the insurance thing, whatever. It made sense for that.
Yeah.
I put Beer Buds and Rundle because they're friends. They're buddies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I was like, all right, I'll put them together because then they'll, they can chirp each other and have fun during that week and whatever. And then I put me and Dylan just because, natural rivalry there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, from there, I was like, all right, I put Nick and 2 goalies, 1 starter. Originally because that was his buddy, but then I was like, all right, I'll put Team Joey in because Team Joey is Nick's apprentice, electrical apprentice. So I don't know him, but he knows him, whatever. But so tried to change that. So I had it set up well and whatever. But what I didn't realize was that it fucked all the other schedules up. So now what it was doing was like you'd play this guy 5 times and then this other guy once.
Oh,
and then
shit.
some of the guys would play some other guys 0 times.
Oh,
And then other
yeah,
guys
that's
like
no
3
good.
times. So I'm like, no, I can't do that. That's like, sure, if it's like season 5 and you want to do like divisions, or if you want to like, almost do like a handicap in a
Yeah.
sense, like, sure, if you
Premier
if you're
League
into
in
that, or if it
the
makes
Scrub
sense.
League.
Yeah, so like, sure, like if it's that intense and you have legit guys or whatever, and you went down that avenue, I could see that. But then basically I just reset the pool and I just manually selected like or I shuffled it until it kind of looked good. And then I more so was trying to get like, cause it was pure shuffle, it was anything at any time. I was trying to nail like 2 or 3, legit rivalries that I could call a rivalry.
Yeah.
And this was like the closest I could kind of come up with at the time. So it didn't work as I wanted. The only other way is if I personally manually made the entire schedule.
Yeah, why the fuck didn't you do that?
I tried. I don't know. I legit tried to.
I
was like,
man.
No, I know, but I was like, I can do this. I'll commit, 4 hours of, spreadsheet time to try and get this figured out. It turned into like twice that, like not in one sitting, obviously, but like it took me like 2 weeks to try and figure it out, and resetting and like going to bed being like, okay, tomorrow I'll figure this out tomorrow, and then I try it again and be like, nope, all right, tomorrow I can get this. And then it got into like that challenge mode where it's like I couldn't figure it out and I couldn't like get defeated, so I was like, I gotta figure this out. And then it just got to a point where I was like, fuck it, I'm defaulting back to standard ish because I can't do this. I can't make it work. I tried so hard. At one point I was like, the work I'm putting into it isn't worth it for a fucking schedule or for a rivalry.
Makes sense. I do not envy the job of commissioner.
It's not the worst.
You get people that add or drop scrubs by accident and get worried.
Yeah,
and
fuck.
then...
Let me tell you, I was gonna rip into that clown. Like, oh fuck.
Jeez.
No, I know what you mean, because like I've almost done it a couple times, and I did it twice in the other pool last year, and the other guy.
I don't
the other
normally
commission
use
had to
the app
correct it.
either, so.
Yeah.
But when new shit was going down, so I was trying to get in on the heyday, but players,
so
I don't
funny
think people want to move the players I want, so.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing is like, again, back to the value, like we pretty much set and also ruin the market in this at the same time.
The market will be back.
Only if there's buyers.
I'm always a buyer. I'm always looking to improve my club.
I understand that, but are you going to be moving top picks after you've seen what's happened?
No, but doesn't mean there can't be win-win situations out there.
Touche. Yeah, I agree. But I guess my more points is that I do not think Joey's going to make a big deal. I do not think he's going to make a big trade. That leaves you, Dankuch, whatever, Beer Buds, Rundle, to make a big move. So, like, you're not, I don't think, going to go out of your way, but if something lands up, sure.
And if Kucherov is the best player on the market, I'm not going for him.
Yeah.
Because I have Stamkos.
Exactly. Exactly. So, like...
So, yep.
That ruins that, right?
And some of my top players are not ones I'm going to move for...
Yeah, but I mean, if Kucherov was killing it, maybe you'd move Stamkos in a return that he can flip at the right time. Maybe probably not, but you know what I mean. Like maybe there's a deal that could theoretically work like that, but that's a different realm at this point.
But what do we got? 4 months before trade deadline. I think I can be a little more patient and see what happens.
We got week 20.
Week 20.
No, week 20 is the last week. That was just what was in my head. February 26th
It's probably right after Rivalry week.
I think it is.
Looking at my schedule.
So week 16 is the double week.
That's the rivalry week, but when it's double week, when is it because it's All-Star break?
Yeah, week 18. Sunday on week 18
is the
trade deadline.
Okay.
So 2 weeks before the playoffs.
So we got 10 weeks still.
Yeah.
And since, I don't know, I was kind of never thought I was in the hunt for President's Trophy, so
yeah.
For me, I didn't miss out on much today. You guys?
Well, I think I'm also kind of sneaky right now.
It's because you've been telling everybody you gave up.
Well,
until like a week ago. Until a week ago.
Well, see, that's what happened is I just talked to everyone and I was like, okay, I was trying to sell my guys. And I mean, I know it's early and I wasn't necessarily trying to make a trade happen, but I was just trying to like
gauge where people are at. I get it. And then you realized no one was like, oh, I'm winning this fucking thing.
Exactly. And everyone's like, basically I would ask them hypotheticals. Like if you were in like third place and I was out of it and this guy was available.
I know what you're up to. You have that advantage over me in that you know everyone more closely to be able to reach out and talk easier.
Yeah, and I do think it is a bit of an advantage, and that's why I really wanted like everyone to be on the WhatsApp. I mean, it's not quite the same to be able to talk to somebody as to have a relationship with somebody.
Yep.
But
those general manager relationships, they eventually blossom.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. And like I noticed that the most in this other pool where like Nick and I are kind of outsiders. Like it's Brad's pool with his buddies, and then Nick and I are the outsiders. But it's like we chat all the time in the WhatsApp group, and it's just it's Nick and I talking. Like nobody like chimes in, and like
there's a couple guys that
and they sit there for weeks, and
like I sent a couple offers today and took them off a couple hours.
Yeah. From who?
Can't tell you.
Oh, you don't want to tell?
Top secret. If those people ever saw them, they would know.
But like I had Kuznetsov, who started slow. He obviously had a suspension, and then he played on the third line for a while, so he's trending up. Benn, I don't know what I'm getting in Benn.
You're getting a trending up player.
And maybe a dealt player. Who knows?
That dealt. What do you mean by that? You're gonna deal him? Dallas isn't dealing him.
No. You sure about that?
Yeah, they're gonna be in the playoffs.
Doesn't mean that they won't make a different type of trade.
I will guarantee they don't trade him.
Yeah.
That's the Alex Hart Babaloos guarantee.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think there's a possibility they trade him. I don't think it is.
He's
I don't think
captain.
They will. But
that's
have you paid attention to what's happened with the owner and them over the last couple of years?
That was last year. Nothing really happening this year so far.
It was directed at Sagan and Benn, and then he later contracted them about Sagan. So he basically singled Benn out and basically said he sucked.
That's fine.
That's what he said.
The owner doesn't know what he's talking about, though. He's an owner.
I know, but the owner is the owner. I mean,
I know. I get it. I get that.
I'm scrambling off the top of my head trying to think of an example. But like one I heard earlier in the season, which I didn't agree with, but I'll go with it just for an example. They said Taylor Hall. They said, what if Dallas could flip Benn for Taylor Hall and retain Hall? Would they be a better team?
Yeah, well, I think so. But there's an asterisk there because Hall is injured every year.
He is, and he's a pending free agent, so there's no guarantee he resigns or whatever, and they might not let you sign an extension before you make the trade, or they might ask for more if they do allow you to do that. So like there's other implications, obviously, but as a basis of a trade, or like if there's another trade out there like that where they could move Benn, I don't know. Like what if I don't know what's pulling up the thing here.
I think you're reaching on this one.
A little bit. I'm just saying that I don't think I don't think it's crazy to think that. I do think that it's unlikely, but if it happened, I would not be shocked at all.
I would be. Unless they're out of the playoff spot, which they're not going to be. So,
what if they traded like, what's his name? The young defenseman, the Finnish kid.
Not Klingberg.
Honka. What if they traded Honka?
I could see them trading Honka, but they're going to be doing it to get their team better for the playoffs.
No, I know, but I was going to say Honka and Benn to like Buffalo for like Ristolainen and Reinhardt and something. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. I know that doesn't make them a better player, but I'm going through the teams here. But like,
I don't know. I have to really analyze the possibilities. You need to know contracts and salary cap, so it's really tough to just dive in here and go crazy. I'm just saying they got a captain on a team that's won like 10 of their last 11.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really going to trade him. The owner hasn't said anything when they started 1-8 or whatever they started this year. The owner wasn't calling them out.
Yeah. What about if you sent him to Florida for like Hoffman plus, or like Hoffman and Ekblad for something, or
possible if they can fit him. Now we're just going nuts. But I think you got Ben. I was targeting Ben. I threw an offer out for Ben.
Were you?
Yeah, I threw an offer for him. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Beefy never responds to my offers. He just rejects them and then doesn't say anything. So that's where your advantage is. Yeah.
He told me, he's like, other people are making offers. I thought he was fucking pulling my leg.
Nope. I was going for Ben.
Because I asked him, I was like, who? And he's like, I'm not telling you. So I was like, all right. Didn't expect you to, but I'll ask the question.
No, I definitely
would have been like, what is the offering?
I think I offered up Kemper and some other peeps. Like, I offered up some stuff. I was trying to make him an offer to make his team better, though.
Yeah.
And obviously he didn't want that. But like, if he told me that, he never tried to get something from me for it. So it's his own loss because he could really find the better deal, maybe.
Yeah, and he said, he's like, I could probably wait longer, but what happened too is Nick wanted him as well.
Who, Ben?
And Nick was sniffing around on Ben as well
because he's undervalued right now.
I know, and I was like, part of me was like, well, I'm not gonna do this all for Nick to swoop in and take Ben. Like, then it's all irrelevant, kind of. So I'm like, well, all right. At the time, I didn't know he was going for them. Like, Dylan and I basically were back and forth on different trades, and then we finally were like, all right, so let me step back. Sorry. So I wanted the trades to go bang, bang because I either wanted both of them or I wasn't going to do it. Like, I wanted to take that step or not do it. So when I was looking at everything, I was waiting on Dylan to accept it. And then when he finally accepted it, or when he was about to accept it, he's like, yeah, I think I'm good for that deal. I was like, because I was asking about Pacioretty. Because I was going to either flip Pacioretty for lesser value on something else that I was looking at.
Yeah.
And like include him as value in that deal. Or I was like, if you want him, then I'm going to pay a little less. So he's like, all right. So that changed things or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Just before we finalize this, like, how much more would I have to give you? Like, tell me what the third pick would be if you added Ben in here. Or I'm even open to a fourth pick if you want to add 2 more picks. And he's like, a middle round pick. I was like, I don't really have a middle round pick because I needed my 9th and my 10th for Kuznetsov and Doughty.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't really have a middle round. He's like, well, give me two other picks. I was like, okay, which ones? I didn't think I had it. And then he was like, well, Nick basically offered the exact same thing, and you were the first one that asked. So like that whole chain of events, like I could have easily just said, all right, cool, done deal.
I think I offered him like a 7th or something for Ben.
Yeah, he was looking for like a 7th, or he asked me for an 8th.
I forget what I offered him, but it wasn't super low. It might have been 9th.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I don't know if I maybe got some hidden value because I was already giving up.
Yeah, it's
like
possible.
High picks, but I know Nick was trying to get Ovechkin and Hall. in the same deal. And I was like, fuck, if he gets that deal, I'm out. I'm not going to. And then there'd be no buyers. And it would basically just turn into everyone just ride your teams out and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then the whole. Well, seriously. And then what's the point of picks, right?
I just noticed this. What's happened here with. There's like another trade where you just traded a pick for.
Secondary trade. So I had both deals agreed to.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, because I'm trading 2 players out on the one deal, I can't over-acquire the player roster limit. So I had to make the one trade first with him. So I had the deal agreed with Dylan, and then I was like, all right, here's my offer to Benn for Hall. He's like, all right, cool, I'm good with it. But he forgot that he was giving up his 7th rounder already to Nick. So our deal originally started with the 7th coming to me. So we agreed to the deal for a pick he didn't have.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, yo, bro, what the fuck? You don't even have your pick. And we agreed on this deal. Like, now what? Where do we go from here? So he's like, okay. So I was trying to stack, obviously, my picks in certain rounds. And I was like, okay, well, I want the 2 13s. He's like, all right, sounds good. I didn't have the 13 either. So I had to get the other pick from Dylan so that we could make the trade work. So it was
so it's illegitimate trades now is what you're telling me. The scoop's
not illegitimate. We traded a pick. It's the 13th for a 14th.
No, that's not. That seems vetoable. That's bullshit.
Which is funny because if he loses and wins consolation and I win everything, we moved 1 roster spot or 1 draft spot.
Seems like some shady shit here, Tori. I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
Gonna have to out. It's gonna have to be outed.
Yeah.
How do you agree? You can't agree on a deal that isn't a deal.
What do you mean?
With the 7th rounder, you said. That's so confusing.
Well, that's what I mean. Why do I have to go look and make sure he has the appropriate picks, especially when he just made a trade with Nick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, hey, make sure you write down which picks. First thing I started was write down your keepers to make sure you don't trade away the picks you need for your keepers. That was my first thing I said, just as a reminder, because I like to remind everybody about that.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I said is, like, make sure you look at the picks you have, because I don't want to agree to a deal where you don't have the picks. And then it took us 3 days, and we finally agreed to a deal, and then he didn't have the pick. And I was like, God damn it, now you owe me, you bastard, for making me do all this extra work and try and find a new deal and do all this other shit. So that's why I ended up getting the 13s into this. Originally, I was getting the 14s instead of 13s.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck you, 13s now, bastard. But this quite possibly could be the best team I've ever had.
Yeah, you're too stacked.
But anything can happen.
Yeah, that's why they play the games.
Exactly. But now I'm gonna love watching hockey the rest of the year. It's just gonna be like
see my dog's face.
Points. Is it jumping or is it just like standing there?
It's on a chair. Oh, now it's on a chair. It was jumping.
It's so funny because we've been talking for how long? We haven't even got onto Babcock yet.
Yeah, it's been about an hour and a half, so maybe we should switch it up to the to some real news.
Fantasy for hours.
Dude, it's interesting. My first keeper league, so
yeah.
Although there's some crazy people in there making moves. I never think I'm not giving up yet. And
here's the other thing I wanted to say though, and something to think about from your angle. So next year, this is where I'm at in my other pool. So I sucked and I traded I had multiple first round picks, which is fantastic, right?
Yeah. And
I'm probably gonna win this year, or I'm top 2 in the other one as well. But I had 2 picks in the top 10, and I got McDavid because there's 12 teams. I had McDavid and Sagan. So before the season even started, I know I cannot keep one of them unless I acquire on someone else's first. Which in the second year, when people can keep their first rounders for 3 years, no one's moving their first. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
So those guys will be available for the taking next year. Not the primary guys, but let's say I don't know, Dylan sucks out and he gets, I don't know, 3 and 7 or something, and he takes McKinnon and Matthews.
You only keep one of them, yeah. It's only for 1 year.
Yeah. So I let him go for it next year, and then after the season I say, hey, you can't keep Matthews, but I'll give you, a 3rd or a 4th and a 7th, and now you slide him to me, and now I can keep him. So, there's always that to keep in mind, right?
Yep.
There's always going to be guys that you can get undervalued. You just have to wait till after the next season and just take them for free. I did it the opposite way, where I sold Bobrovsky in the offseason this last year because there's a guy who didn't have a goalie and he was getting all desperate. So I was like, okay, well, if you want Bobrovsky,
desperation reeks, right?
I had zero interest in keeping him because he was a 2nd rounder. I got his other 2nd rounder and a 4th rounder for essentially put your insert name here. Yeah. It wouldn't have mattered who it would have been. So there's always some possibilities that pop up like that. So the guy who I've already agreed with the deal is Nick. So with Sagan, I've already agreed that after the season, hopefully after I win, I'll then turn around and I'll trade Sagan to Nick for a 2nd rounder. So, I mean, that deal's already agreed to.
You're just going to get a 2nd rounder and have to give up what? Just Sagan?
He gets Sagan, and he gets to keep him for 3 years.
But then he doesn't have a 2nd rounder.
Because his 1st rounder will be next year when first rounders, if you think about it, people keep your 1st rounder. So let's say 7 of the top 1st rounders are kept. Your 1st overall pick is your 7th or 8th or 9th best player in the league.
Yeah.
So, it's great to own the 1st overall pick, but you're really owning, the 8th overall pick in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
So it's for Nick, he has nothing this year, and he has no talent. So for him, if I let Sagan go back in the draft and he doesn't win consolation, Sagan will probably be the top pick. So for him, because he has 2 first rounders this year, he can try and win consolation and try and get whoever is the best, and then keep Sagan as 7th or whatever, and then turn around and do the same thing next year to somebody else.
Deep strat here. Deep strat.
Blowing your mind there?
No.
This is the shit him and I talk about all the time.
Oh, I'm in there with you guys. I constantly lose track of who I drafted where, though, so I gotta make that spreadsheet you got.
Yeah, I used to do spreadsheets all the time, but what's that?
I was gonna ask if you had some secret database where you're tracking everyone's shit, so that I can just get access to.
No, I used to. I don't anymore, mostly because the new computer I bought doesn't have enough space. Well, it doesn't have enough space to download the whole Microsoft bundle. I only really want Word and Excel, and it's also $39 a year. And I'm I'm not fucking paying that for Excel and Word. So
yeah, I just use Google Docs.
Yeah, that's what I'm slowly trying to transition over to, but it's obviously slightly different.
Slightly, but something
just
you can't
kind of transfer.
Yeah,
exactly. So I haven't yet. But in seasons past, I have totally had databases where I've kept track of everything, and then taken those numbers for analytics and stuff, and made my own projections and stuff like that.
All right, is it time to talk about Babcock? Is there really much else to say?
I don't know if there's much left to cover.
Yeah, the news broke today that the Leafs fired him.
What time was that at?
For me, it was for 1:30. 1:30, 2 o'clock. I personally was not surprised. I don't think you're surprised. I don't think a lot of people are surprised. I watched the first half of the Steve Dangle podcast, and he was it was recorded before that it came out that he was fired. And on the podcast, he's saying he believes Babcock was already fired, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And going on that. So I don't think it's he believed that, I guess the podcast was recorded today, and then it was after. He believed that Babcock was fired the night before.
Yeah.
Who knows why?
After the game.
Yeah, after the game in the hotel room. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of topics or possibilities that anyone can discuss and go on about for days and weeks on end. It comes down to this, that unfortunately you and I and most of the people that we would come in contact with don't know.
No clue,
the true conversations of what's been going on or whatever. So what I think it truly comes down to is back before Babcock came here, it was a circus. It was a gong show. It was disgusting. It was a joke. It was, I can't think of a better one, but it was a word for this, but it was a black spot on the NHL. Like, you're one of your best markets, just can't get their shit together. Like, no matter what they do, they just can't get their shit together. So it's like
Salute-gate.
Yeah, and like I think that their thought was, it took us 5 years to get here from there.
Yep.
How many games of this can we continue on till we revert all the way back to where we were, and then have to damage control to try and, reel them back in? And I think it came down to, we can't let our fans get sour on us again. It's come far enough. We don't want to do it. We didn't plan on doing it, but we can't let our fans turn on us. This is the point. Like, we have to show our fans, we have to show our players that, like, it's not acceptable. We're not throwing away this season. We've made our moves. This is the team we're going with. Like, let's go. If not, shit's got to change.
Okay.
But I think it just came down to that.
With that being said, do you think they can do anything with this team? Is it too late?
I am a huge Keefe fan. Well, let's look at the standings.
If you look at it that way, they're in like the same situation. Like, St. Louis can do it, why can't they do it? That's what everyone says, right? The worst, most overused line in hockey.
I can appreciate people trying to be positive and people trying to, set. I'm not a believer to set goals that are not attainable.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, people are like, oh, reach for the stars, set goals. If you set them really high and you fall short, at least you've got up high. Well, I think that you should set realistic expectations.
Yep.
Steve Dangle said today, 25% chance odds that the Leafs make the playoffs.
Makes sense. I'm looking at them. They're 4 spots out. If you're looking at just points, they're 4 spots out of a wild card. But if you look at you got Tampa Bay 2 points back, 5 games in hand. Columbus 2 points back, 3 games in hand. Ottawa 3 points back. They're playing right now. They're tied. Like, there's at least 3 teams that could easily hop them with the games in hand. So they're looking at being like 7th, 3rd last in the conference. 7 out of the wild card spot. 7 teams that they have to hop over. They basically have to win. They have to start winning 7 out of 10 games for the rest of the season.
They do.
Is that possible?
The only thing, it's not impossible.
It's not, yes.
That's honestly my answer. Like, it's not likely. What if Carey Price blows his knee? What if, I don't know, the Islanders fall apart? What if Malkin goes down and Crosby just doesn't come back quick enough? What if Buffalo continues to fall? What if Vasilevsky goes down to a groin injury or tear or something? Like, things can happen. Like, we were just talking about this with fantasy. Anything can happen, right? On paper, Tampa Bay would be first place right now. Like, there's a couple things that they do actually have going in their favor, believe it or not.
Let's hear it.
One being, I truly think that a lot of the guys, like, I've played on teams before where, not that people are playing to get the coach fired, but they're not playing for the coach, and they're hopeful that there's somebody else to come in just like these coaches in particular I'm talking about, they're hard asses.
Yeah.
Ones I could relate a lot to, but like Babcock. And the people I knew, they played afraid. Like they knew that if they made one mistake, they're out of the lineup.
Yeah.
And like you're not changing his mind. You could make 9 good plays, that one play you're done. And that's the career. We almost saw that with Label and Hall. So I mean, with that being said, in one of those situations I did see the coach get fired, and somebody came in who was a lot more like supportive and understanding and being like, I understand you're the 2 best players. I understand you don't like playing together. Okay, well, we'll now have 2 good lines that are centered around each of you, so you each have your own line instead of taking puck time away from each other and driving each other nuts and running into each other.
Does that happen on the Leafs?
I don't know, but in that particular case, those 2 players, those 2 players exploded, and we went on and we won the championship. So, like,
yeah,
who knows? Like, I don't think I said this to you at the beginning of the season, but I would have taken Marner off of Tavares' line.
I don't remember if you said that. You may have.
I would have put him with Matthews. I would have gone Hyman, Matthews, and Marner. I would go Janssen. Actually, at this moment, I would put Mikheyev. I would put Mikheyev, Tavares, and Nylander. I would then put Janssen down with Kerfoot and Kapanen to give that line a little bit more oomph, if you will. And then I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah.
And then the 4th line is Moore, Timashov, and Gaucher.
I can't. I have no stance on the Leafs lines. I don't watch enough of them.
Yeah.
I just know it's a circus. That's all I know.
Basically, my point of what I'm trying to get across is that last year, Marner and Tavares both basically had their career years.
Okay.
If they come back
had his career year last year?
Maybe.
He had pretty good
One
years.
of his top couple.
Yeah, he had good years in New York, though.
Yeah, but I mean, one of his best. Let's put it this way: one of his best. I think that might be one of his top 3 years out of the contract that we have him for in Toronto.
Okay.
I think that will be one of his top 3 years. I hope not, but I do think that odds are against him having more than 2 other better seasons than that. So if that bar is set at that place, everyone's expecting that bar to be reached and stepped over, right? It's with everything in life. You do something once, the next thing you want to do is go a little bit further, or jump a little higher, or whatever, right? So I don't know. I think that I would have separated them just to make them uncomfortable, uneasy, be like, well, what the fuck? We had success, but now I have to play with other guys. You can always go back to it.
Yep.
But I just thought it would have kind of just lit a little bit of a fire under guys, just to be like, my spot is safe here. Not that it's not safe from being on or off the team, just being with the guys or without the guys that I like to play with or I want to play with. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily actually best for you. Like, I've seen so many guys who just love to play on the same line with each other, and you stand back and you're like, why? Like, you don't. Like, you get mad at each other, and like, you don't pass it to each other, and like, you don't make each other better. So why do you always want to play on the same line? Like, you could play on different lines and be better and score more goals and get more shots. Like, isn't that what you play to get?
That's why we watch.
Like, exactly. So, like, I don't know. There's different things like that, which again comes back to the bias in fantasy. Like, all those things are what I think about, right? So
true that.
But I'm a big fan of Keefe.
Yeah, you think?
I think he.
Okay.
Yeah, I
live in the Vancouver bubble, so they don't know anything about this guy, right?
Yeah.
But just the public, like people, coworkers, essentially, are just like, oh, why do they think that's gonna be a solution? Dallas Zekin, kind of same situation. He was never ever able to make the transition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's still a tough transition, right?
I'm trying to. Yeah, so he actually isn't Pembroke in BC?
Pembroke? Fuck if I know. Pembroke is Ontario, I think.
Where is it? Yeah, the Lumber Kings. Yeah, he's got a pretty fascinating story, actually, because I'm just trying to check and see where exactly it is. Okay, up by Ottawa. Because I thought I remembered his... I used to go to a lot of Aurora Tiger games, so Junior A.
Okay. Bowmanville
just
Eagles.
mine. What's that?
Bowmanville Eagles. That was our junior A team.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were saying something else because we used to have the Aurora Eagles, and then they turned into the Aurora Tigers. The Aurora Eagles were a fucking joke. They were goon squads. Like there would be, they'd lose 12-2 every game, but there'd be like 400 penalty minutes. Like it was brawl central. It was fun to go watch sometimes, but it was silly. But then they changed to the Tigers. But I think that the Tigers were the ones that played the Pembroke. But Keefe took Pembroke. If I have the story correct, he purchased the team. Yep. He did his own scouting, his own coaching, his own development. Turned his team from just an average, like out of the zone, average low center team to like a championship team, and like brought other people in, and then he basically used that to springboard into like higher and higher and higher divisions. Okay. And he's had success everywhere he's been. From me watching the Marlies, I've probably seen about 20 Marley games, maybe 22, 24 Marley games since he took over coaching there. And the one thing I really like that I've noticed he does, and maybe it's because it's the AHL where they have a lot of weekend, the games smushed on the weekend. But what he's not afraid of doing is playing goalies on back-to-back. Okay. But in the sense of like, if a goalie gets a shutout, he likes to get him back in there.
Oh, I never understood why that doesn't happen more.
Yeah, and it's you got a shutout. That's a high. Don't get too high. You get rocked 6-1, get back in there the next day. Doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he puts guys in, and it's like, yeah, you fucked up. But go out and do it again, because I believe that you won't fuck up again. Yeah. And, like, guys will go to battle for him. And, like...
Yeah, he's a player's coach.
Yeah, and like, so one example, Trevor Moore. Trevor Moore used to be one of my favorite players to watch on the Marlies because he came in as undrafted college free agent, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. He came and he started on the Orlando Solar Bears at the time before they turned into Newfoundland Growlers. And he basically was a walk-on, and he slowly started as a third liner on the Solar Bears, went up the lineup, up the lineup, up the lineup. And he was a guy where basically my point is, Keefe looked at him and was like, I have no idea who this dude is. I have these other guys who are like former NHLers being pushed down to the AHL and stuff. Yeah. And he puts this guy on the top line. Why? Because he's the hardest fucking worker. You look at him in the NHL, his engine doesn't stop. Like, he's not the most skilled guy. And should he be in your top 9? Probably not. But if he works as hard as he does...
An Alex Burrows kind of guy.
Exactly. If he gets the puck back and gets it to your skilled guys... That's just as good as your skilled guys chasing around other guys to get the puck back. Yep. So, I mean, like, I that's what I like about him, and I do think that he's going to come in. I don't think he's going to do anything crazy, but I do think he's going to do a couple shifts. Like, I think he's going to move the defense around. I do think he's going to start leaning on Barry and Riley. Like, I think he's going to basically...
Less CC?
Yeah, he plays. But that's the other thing is that he... With the Marlies, like another good example is Hall. Hall was another similar situation to Moore where he basically came out of nowhere. He was a walk-on, and all of a sudden, Keefe just started playing him on the top pairing. And everyone was like, all the reporters were like, what are you doing? Who is this guy?
It must be a little bit of a culture shock for the players when they're playing for this guy and for the Marlies. They get called up to the big leagues, and they got Babcock, who is this stern motherfucker. You fuck up, you're like... Mm-hmm. And you're probably scared shitless because Babcock's like this hero amongst coaches. So like so
it sets the bad tone.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. I'm sure that doesn't help either.
Well, take two categories.
The Leafs have a lot of players going back and forth for the last couple of years at least.
Exactly, but take two categories. You have one category over here, who is your, for lack of a better term, checkers. They're the guys who don't stop working. They get the puck deep. They probably won't score many goals, but they don't get scored against. You have your skilled players over here who can make plays, who can try and get the puck in their net, who can lift sticks, can create whatever. He can help in the shootout, power play, that kind of stuff. How many guys in this column over here have had a success with Babcock? Patan. Who is the other forward, the small forward that they didn't like? You could put Levo in there. You could almost put Timashov in there now. In the other category, Connor Brown, Zach Hyman, Trevor Moore. These are just off the top of my head. Guys who are success stories, if you will, playing arguably higher in the lineup than they should be, but they do serve a role, so I'm okay with it. But to your point, I think that just proves that if you're a skilled guy and you're going to fuck up because you're going to try and make something happen, right? Mistakes happen when that happens. If you're going to be benched and be like, well, we can't have that from you. Like, sorry to kind of jump subjects here. This thing's the thing that pissed me off and the thing that made me decide it's over with Babcock. When he came out and he said, oh, Tyson Barrie has to reinvent himself. Done. You're telling me a 60-point offensive defenseman who's been in the league for years and made his career up to now where he's a pending free agent, expected to make a big money contract, has to reinvent himself for you?
It's funny that
he
says that, but does he reinvent himself with this past little bit?
Exactly. That as soon as that happened, I was like, "You're done."
When did he say that?
I have last week sometime, and I was like, as soon as that came out, I was like, "It's only a matter of time," and I'm out.
I bet you that's kind of like a slap to Dubas, I'm sure too. Like I feel like he's said a lot of stuff to the media that intentionally slaps Dubas a little bit.
Well, he's portrayed it now, and now the fans are latching on that, well, fuck you, Dubas. We would have preferred Kadri. Where that's not a fair argument. Like, sure, yeah, I would prefer to have Kadri. Like, I did too, yeah. And like, and the thing that I always say is that people, if we ignore everything that happened, which obviously we can't now, but if we went in a time machine and we went back to game one again, no one would have a problem with anything Dubas did in the offseason. So why, now that the players are underperforming, probably we're hoping because of the coaching, is it Dubas's fault that the players are underperforming? He can't go out there and put the skates and the stick in his hand.
Can't whip them.
Yeah, like I have no problem with anything he did. Like,
I think he's done good things, yeah.
The only things, I have two things that I can hold against him.
You're always going to have something, though.
Yeah, but these are petty things.
Yep.
One is I thought it was fairly petty that Matthews got 0.34 at the end of his contract, and I thought it was petty that Marner got 0.93 at the end of his contract. Because if you take your 0.93 and your 0.34, off the top of my head, was that 1.2 something?
Yeah.
So that's a backup goalie. So that...
Yeah, but they could have rounded down for those things.
That's what I mean, is like... they can stomp.
I'm
the
saying,
players, the players should have.
Yeah, well, they could have.
They should have.
Yeah, but they also could have. We don't know if they did or not.
But how the fuck did Pasternak get $8 million and Marner gets 10 basically? Why is Marner worth $2 million more?
Because he had a career year last year.
Okay, you want to argue that difference with that plus the difference of the Matthews Petty thing? Well, there's Halak. You want to argue with our backup goalie? Well, there's the difference we're talking about. So, I mean, players could make it easier on themselves. Okay, fine. Give me $250,000 less. All of us just do it so that we can have one more good player and a really good backup so that overall as a team, we have more wins on a given night, which means we make the playoffs easier, which means we can
more sponsorship deals.
Exactly. So it's like,
It's greed.
I don't get why there's a Toronto tax. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
You have other teams like Tampa where there's like tax bullshit where a $9 million cap actually means you're paying like 3.5 or some shit like that. I mean, I'm joking, but like
you got you got a team like Vegas who doesn't have to pay any salary tax, so like they don't have to pay their players as much for the player to make as much money.
And then on top of that, Toronto that does have to pay that has to also pay an extra twice that just to retain their own talent. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. The only thing that I will say to combat that is it is on Dubas now.
Oh, yeah.
To find the supporting cast. It's 100% his responsibility. Ilya Mikheyev, I'm a big fan. He
I
went
haven't
out and
watched
found
enough
him
of that
from
kid
nowhere.
yet.
I know he's I
the
like
soup
him.
man, right?
Yeah, I like him a lot. Like, I don't think he's anything special.
Yeah, but he's what you need.
I think if you mixed like Hyman and like Janssen together into one breed, that's kind of what you're getting. So like on a good year, maybe he can score 20 if he's on the second power play. Not this year, but like in the coming years.
All right.
I think that he like a 16 goal, 35, 40 point penalty killer who pots in a couple shorties. I think that's probably
fair.
what you're getting. Yeah. So third line winger, which can give you some other stuff in the toolbox. Every team needs something like that.
All right.
But that's the thing. Jeremy Bracco. Know about him?
No.
Ever heard his name?
No.
He is probably about 2 weeks away from taking over the assist lead for the Toronto Marlies all-time franchise record. He played for, what was it, Windsor, I think?
So is he like an all-time, like a forever AAA player?
Well, he's a kid. He reminds me a lot of Jeff Skinner. He skates like him, just with the weird kind of goofy where he points his toes out, and he likes to kind of turn on weird edges. But he is insanely brilliant. For example, the other day, he made a play. He threw the puck down in the corner on the power play. So everyone in the building is like, what the hell is this clown doing? He was the first one down there. He blindly spinorama threw it off. Like, he knew what he was doing clearly, but like he did it blindly. Mm-hmm. He spun from in the corner and whipped like a snap pass off the side of the back of the net. And it bounced out between the two defenders into the guy in the slot. Actually, I think it was Pierre Engvall. And both defensemen didn't expect that to happen. So essentially he used the net to pass it from an awkward spot out to the slot. Angle. Yeah, and it went right out to the guy in the slot, and he buried it. And it's like you could tell he meant to do it, but basically he's the reason why the Marlies power play has been like top 3 for the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. And he is an elite passer. Beyond that, he's got pretty much nothing.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, why is he not on this team?
Yeah, why I bring that up is with the whole Babcock thing. He would have never made it with Babcock. If Babcock remained here, I think next year he'll have his waivers, so he will have to clear waivers, which he never will. So between now and next year, he's either going to have a spot on this team as a spare or a player, or he's a trade asset. So now with Keefe there, he's Keefe's guy on the power play. He's quarterbacked the power play for him for 2 years. Like, he's his guy. I wouldn't be surprised to see him up and him feeding like feather. Like, he can sauce the pass like over the back of the net, off the boards onto somebody's stick blindly. Like, stuff I've seen him do. Like, the stuff I've seen him do is nasty. It just sucks he's got nothing else in the toolbox. But if he comes up and he plays basically, no minutes 5-on-5 or a little bit 5-on-5 and just plays a ton power play, I think he could almost solely turn the power play around.
That's bold.
Can you carry one guy on your team that really only plays on the power play?
Power play specialist.
Yeah, I don't know. In today's NHL, it's kind of hard to do that. But
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's only like 13 assists shy or something of the all-time record. It's pretty close.
All right, I think we got to start thinking about wrapping this up. 2 hours in.
Yeah, man.
I think we need some sort of game prediction or some idea to do at the end of each call.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been trying to kind of think of something this past 10 minutes or so.
Leaf-centered or not Leaf-centered?
Not Leaf-centered. I don't know. Leaf-centered. We could just say the Leafs, since we're on the Babcock topic, the Leafs have 2 games left on the road trip, I think, or do they go to Buffalo on the road trip? I can't remember.
I'm not sure, but I was going to say we could always do like a hot take. Okay. Be like, this is my take of something I think is going to happen between now and the next time we talk.
Now and next week.
Just be like,
not prepared enough for that.
What's the
Canucks continue to lose.
Schedule. I gotta type across here. I'm just pulling up the schedule. Were you gonna ask me what I think the Leafs are gonna do between now and then?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the next 2 games because they play the Coyotes in Colorado. I don't know if they. I thought that's where that road trip ended, but they might go to Buffalo before they go home. I forget.
They're on a fucking terrible trip, man.
Yeah, but they're already like halfway through, aren't they?
Don't think so. I think they still got a bit of hell to go. So they got at Arizona tomorrow.
Yeah.
At Colorado Saturday.
Yeah, and then Buffalo
at
Tuesday.
Detroit next week. Which no, not Tuesday.
Oh.
No, they're at Detroit on Wednesday next week. Which Detroit always plays them well. I don't think they've, off the top of my head, I don't think the Leafs have beat Detroit in regulation in 4 years. I don't think the Leafs have beat them since the.
Okay, so they got
they
got a 4-game road trip. So let's do our predictions here with the new coach. Coyotes, Avalanche, Red Wings, then Sabres. I guess we can just call it. We'll just do the Red Wings because that'll be the game right. Maybe we'll probably do our show after that. Well, I think after that game because
sorry.
All right, so
I think they come out with an inspiring effort tomorrow
against my boy Kemper.
But I think that they kind of play a little all over the place.
Yeah.
Because I think that they're going to try some new things. And, I don't think he's going to come in and be like, oh, let's do everything today. But I do think he's going to maybe change a couple lines. And I think there will be a little bit of discomfort for the first couple games. And a little, I'm on left wing now, not right wing. Maybe he might swap, maybe something like that, where it might cause a couple goals just by mistake, or oversight, or lack of assignment.
Coyotes either. You don't want to do that.
Exactly. So I think that maybe that they might come out with one of those, 38 shot. They play really well. They had a couple of really good power plays. You can't really say they played bad, but it just didn't work out for them. I could see a 5-1, 5-2 lead, or 5-2 Arizona.
Wow. I don't think Arizona scored 5 goals more than once this year.
Then I'm guaranteeing it. They'll put 5 up against the Leafs.
Okay.
Man, every time there's a stat like that where, they haven't scored a goal in 907 years. Oh, they did it tonight against the Leafs.
Like Nosek.
Every single time. It's like, this person has never done this before, but they've done it twice against the Leafs tonight. It's like, yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, so you got Coyotes winning, then they go to Colorado. I guess that's...
Sorry, something just popped in my head, and I want to give you a fun trivia fact just for something random. There's one NHL player currently right now who has not been on the ice when a goal has been scored against his team. Who is that player?
Oh shit! Is he? Can you give me a position?
He is a forward on a team in the Atlantic, not the Leafs.
Team in the Atlantic, a forward. Is it? It can't be some fourth liner, right? Or is it?
He is a former Leaf.
A former Leaf. Forward?
Yeah, you might not get this. He's not a mainstream name. Par Lindholm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Par Lindholm was our fourth line center all last year. And I think he had 2 goals all year, or 1 goal or something like that. And then we traded him for Par Lindholm. We traded him for Patan.
Nice.
That's who he got Patan for, and then he signed in Boston. But yeah, so Colorado will pump Toronto. McKinnon will score 4 gols.
It's a Kadri rematch. I don't think Toronto gets pumped.
No?
I think they'll be able to score on. Well, Grubauer's back actually.
I think they'll be jacked to play Naz too.
Yeah, I think that game will be their closest. That'll be the swing game, whether they win or lose on the rest of the games out.
I'm gonna make a crazy bet that Nazem Kadri gets kicked out of the game.
No. No way.
I think that he's going to try and.
Who's he gonna fight? Barry?
I was gonna say I wonder who's gonna fight, but I think he's gonna push and see if anyone is gonna push back.
Yeah, see what if they can. Yeah, because he's just gonna play his game, right? Against his
He's
buddies.
gonna do his thing and kind of just
chirp the shit out of
and
them,
laugh at him, and
you guys got Babcock fired.
Yeah, you fucking softy. You're not playing your game, and now you get the coach fired. What's wrong with you? Like he can get under their skin, no problem in that game, and like I wouldn't put it past him to like. I don't know who, maybe Andreas Janssen or somebody to come through and just demolish somebody and be like, yeah, oh, no one wants to fight me? Okay, yeah, you're all pussies. Like, I can totally see a situation like that.
All right,
but
that's bold. I don't think he gets kicked out. Yeah.
Score, if I go score, 5, no,
wow.
6.
You're getting that's 11 goals.
Colorado.
That's 11 goals against in 2 games. You're predicting right now.
Because I think all the Leaf fans will be like, "Oh, we fired Babs and nothing's happened," and then it's gonna be this stupid story.
Oh, so you're predicting the media already too? It's all fixed.
Oh yeah, 100%. Media's dumb in Toronto. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Detroit. Unfortunately, I think they'll lose against Detroit too.
So
I think they'll take that one to overtime though. Or shootout.
So you're predicting an 0-5 road trip, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
I'm gonna go
one in Buffalo. Buffalo's still the last one in the road trip,
and they'll lose that one. So.
Yeah.
Just joking.
No, they will. I think that out of Arizona, Colorado, Detroit, Buffalo, I think that they'll get 2 or 3 points.
I think that's fair. I was gonna say 4 points.
Yeah. Yeah. They might get a win against Buffalo for those 3 points, but I think 1 or 2 of the games will go to overtime and they'll lose. Overtime or shootout, whatever. Mm-hmm. And maybe they'll get maybe they'll win one of those games in a shootout or something against Buffalo. But I don't think that there's really going to be a noticeable change or anything that really makes a difference until December.
Okay, that's fair.
I think that once we get into December, I think we'll. It's Philly.
I'm gonna call Arizona shutting them out.
Ooh.
Darcy Kemper.
No way. Matthews will be jacked. He'll score 1.
Yeah, you're right.
Matthews will score.
I'm just saying that. I'm biased. I got the Kemper dog in my net, so.
Yeah, Matthews hasn't scored a power play goal. So
I'll say.
Catch this. No, catch this. Matthews has 1 goal that's not been scored at the ACC or Scotiabank. So 1 goal on the road, and it was since their very first road game of the season, so like game 2. He's back in Arizona. Guaranteed. Power play goal for Matthews.
Okay, so I'll say 3-2 Coyotes. And then I'm going to say Leafs win 4-3 against the Avalanche.
Are you going to write these down so that I guess
yeah, I'll write them down.
Right?
Yeah. We'll get them. So I'll say 4-3 Leafs win, possibly OT, bonus points if it's OT. And then the last game, they will beat Detroit for 5-2.
You know that because I'm predicting them to suck ass, they're going to go 3-0, right?
That's fine. We'll be happy with that. Leafs fans will be happy with that.
Yeah.
And that's that. So, nice chalk.
I mean, if you want to go back to the whole St. Louis as the example, I think it was November 13th off the top of my head, 13th or 14th, that they fired their coach, Mike Yeo. And they said that it wasn't until December 6th or 7th that they actually started on winning streak. So it took them 2 weeks to get new traction. So
that makes sense.
I'm not expecting the Leafs to be like St. Louis in any capacity, but I do expect them to follow suit, that it's going to take 4 to 6 games to really kind of get into the new Keefe groove, let's call it.
Sounds
I think
good.
To get out of the Babcock habits and get into the Keefe hunts.
Sounds good.
But I think everyone's excited to play, and I think that
I'm excited to watch
some fresh efforts, because I think everyone's going to be like, hey, this guy's in the minors,
their spot
right?
now.
Exactly. All spots are open now, so I think everyone's going to be playing for everyone and playing for their spots, and I think it's going to be a new team. I hope.
All right. Until next time.
Until.
Nice talking to you, man.